Welcome to probably the most important lecture on programming you will ever take. So pay attention to this one because it will be useful throughout your programming career. We're looking at classes and objects. So let's start by creating a class. Just as a side note, we already have a class, which is this public class, MyThing. But we're going to ignore it for now and take this from the beginning so we can really understand why we need classes and why they're just so useful. Let's create a new file and let's right-click it, save the file as, and call it car.java. And .java will be added automatically for us. Now in Java, it expects your file names to be the same as your class names. So we're going to make a public class called car. Open our curly braces. Inside of this class, we're going to give it a few properties. And if you think about a car, it has a property called perhaps int speed and a string color. It will also need to have what's called an initializer. And a class in most programming languages needs to have this inside of it. An initializer is basically a method that kicks everything off in the class. We define an initializer by the word public and then the name of the class. There are no voids or statics here. Inside of the initializer, we're going to pass over some of the things that we might need. So we might pass over an integer speed and a string color. Then we open our curly brace, and what we're going to do is make this speed in the class equal to this one. So to do that, we say this dot speed is equal to speed, and this dot color is equal to color. And this passes over these items into our class variables. Then we close off our curly brace for the initializer. Let's make another method called public integer because this will return an integer, and let's call it get speed. Open and close your brackets, open a curly brace, and return this dot speed. Close your curly brace. Let's do the same for color. Public get color, or rather public string get color, and return this dot color. Close your curly brace and close the class curly brace. So if we look at this from the 10,000 foot view, what this whole class does is define something called a car. It's kind of like a blueprint. And when we grab our blueprint and we create something out of it, the blueprint requires us to provide a speed and a color, so we can then apply that speed and color to the car. Then later on, we can also get the speed out of the car and we can get the color of it. So save that file and let's look at how we create a car out of this class. Back in mything.java, in our static void main, let's create a car called Toyota, which is equal to a new car. And this new car expects a speed, 50, and a color, red. So now we've created what's called an object. And this object is called Toyota, and its type is of car. It follows this car blueprint. We can create another car if we wish. Car Ferrari is equal to a new car with a top speed of 200 and color green, because it's kind of a different Ferrari. Now if we compile this, everything compiles fine. And we have two objects, a Toyota and a Ferrari. And each of those is different. So we can print out our system.out.println the Toyota.getColor, and we can also copy that and print out the same for our Ferrari.getColor. Compile and run, and we have red and green. So, classes such as car.java are the blueprint for things that we will create. They are not things in and of themselves. When we do what's called instantiating, that is, creating a new object from the class, then and only then do we have a thing or an object. And every time we instantiate that class, we can create a different object. So classes are very handy in terms of cutting down code and taking care of things that you need to define multiple times. You can create as many objects as you like out of a class. So that is the power of classes. Learn this lesson well, and if you've got the time, please go back and redo this lesson, because this classes and objects idea is absolutely fundamental to all object-oriented programming, whether it's Swift, Objective-C, C#, Java, it doesn't matter. You will use this idea time and time again.